Oh, wait, oh, of course, of course. All right, well, guess what time it is? You're gonna have to hear this crappy mic for a second while I set up the good mic, big mic. It's time to get rid of Microsoft, at least step at a time. Right, I have a lot of stuff that I already have installed in my system, so I'm not gonna do a clean, fresh install, which will help a lot of people because not everyone's really dedicated to like going straight to a clean install, right? We like to take baby steps. We don't want to go head over shoulders, head over shoulders, head and knees, head, knees, shoulders, head, knees, and toes. Um, we basically want to take our time, kind of slow ourselves into the transition. And honestly, at this point, if you've seen some of my older videos, hello, microphone, hello, ¿dónde? ¿Dónde, Mr. Microphone? ¿Dónde? ¿Nani? One second, we're still setting up apparently. There. Is that better? That's better.
All right. Well, all right. Back to the good mic. So, not everyone wants to go straight in to like reinstalling everything, erasing everything, and you might not be prepared. So, case scenario, I'll show you a little bit about the hard drives, right? How we're going to go into our software space, and I will show you here based on the previous video, right? The previous video that I have on building PCs. It's a little messy at the moment, guys, when I'm trying to work on the content. This is the PC beginners part one. I'm basically cutting from the previous streams. I haven't dedicated the time to go into full edit
Let's
and
go ahead and
recording
finish
modes.
this one since
But here's where we're going, right? So we've got the PC, we've got the parts. We are, oh, well, oh, they took the hard drive out? Okay, hold on. Maybe a little bit before that. Well, the hard drive, right? The hard drive is right here. I don't think I actually show the hard drive in this video, maybe, not yet. But that's where we want to go. We're going to be going into the digital side of the hard drive. Trying to find, oh, wait, this one? This a good image here? Uh-huh, there you are. This is where I connect them together. All right, so this little sucker down here. One thing is to plug it in and get it working right away, right? Just plug in, cool. But let's say you buy a new hard drive. It's completely empty. There's no system on it. There's no files on it. What do we do? How do we get stuff done? So it really depends on where we currently are and how much we have to essentially set up on the hard drive for it to hold not only our files where we will be putting our folders, files, data, whatever, but also the system itself, right? There's going to be a lot of tricks we're going to go through, especially since I'm not going to be cleaning out my current hard drive. I have a little bit of dedicated space that I've kind of saved for a while, just for a little bit of a Linux partition, right? So we'll take a look at what that looks like and also learn about partitions. Partitions are super, and I recommend as many layers as you'd like of partitions. You're going to kind of see how I've layered mine to be. Mm, Not only for security's sake, but if you ever have to reinstall your system, you probably don't want to erase the whole hard drive. So the first thing we want to kind of work with is our disk manager in Windows, right? So this is the Windows disk manager. We're going to see a couple of other forms of it. We're not just going to install Linux and be done, right? We can do that easy and I can show you the video of how to go through it, but I always like to be detailed in what you're learning, not just installing Linux and pressing install and next and be done with it, but to really know what's going on with your computer. So here's my partitions. It's crazy. Let's take a look. So first and foremost, essentially every EFI system partition has kind of a, call it like a secretary, not a secretary, a librarian, right? You've got books all over the place, but you don't have any way to get to those books. You put a librarian or a registry in the center or the beginning of your library so people can go in and search for the books they're looking for. That's the first thing. This is how this little EFI system partition acts like. It's a case for organizing the rest of the system, including the C drive, the beginning and ending. This one, a recovery space for the installation of my Windows system. Although I probably should remove it because I've recovered using it before, but I'm pretty sure it's infected. So I might right click and delete it. Maybe not yet, but later. An extra partition here, the beginning and the end. All of it has to do with bits and bytes, right? So these are already created. I'm not going to touch them, but I'm going to go into more detail through GParted, which is a Linux version of this software that we're seeing as far as disk management. So my head's a little big. Hold on. Phew. There we go. So and okay, I did say in my title, Windows is breaking. Oh, I didn't even explain that, but hey, you know what? When your icons start looking like this, wait, did it fix itself? Something happened. I reinstalled, but not now. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or two. And just yesterday, my icons blew up, being all weird and stuff. Like my text was all gross and disgusting, and I couldn't find arrow. Let me see this. Multitask? No, multitasking. Yeah, I couldn't even turn off arrow shake. I can't even turn off snap. Why won't you turn off? There was no option in here going through basically every option online to turn off this little feature called arrow shake, which is like when you shake the window, it makes everything else disappear and you gotta shake it again vigorously to bring everything back. And I couldn't find the option. Where the hell do I turn it off? So I got pissed off and I went straight to registry and I found it here and I added a little disallow shaking registry adjustment so I can stop that piece of crap from happening. I freaking hate it. I hate a lot of these features that Windows has for their system. I mean, because there's other applications that'll use it in a way. For my organization, I don't even use Snap because if I use my portable apps over here, I use something called, yeah, I'll do that. I use something called, hello, Window Grid. Super lightweight, super simple. You left click to move stuff, and then as you're moving stuff, you right click to align to a grid, and then you let go of right click to basically organize, and then you let go to keep that window there. And then I can basically customize however I want to organize my windows and whatever organization I feel like without having to be restricted to top left corner, top right corner, bottom left corner, bottom right corner, right side, left side, upside, downside. Like, give me more features. Like this window grid thing is super awesome because basically I can change the window to whatever size. In fact, the cool thing is some games don't let you change the window size because, going to a window like Sims and stuff like that. You go into a window moment, maybe Sims does now, but there were some games I played that would just give you like 1920 by 1080 and they just keep it that way. You could not, there's no arrow to resize the window. So I just grabbed the window and just kind of put it up here in the corner. And I played a little game on the side as I'm multitasking my life away. Ah. Anyway, I'm still processing some coffee. I'm back from the farm mm, and getting back into the groove. So Windows is breaking, really. Not for this case scenario. Like, there's some things that are starting to go weird on my system. I just had a complete reinstall recently, and I'm not really liking how we're at this kind of point in time where if you're an Apple user, you know this. It's about a 2 year span for every product. The planned obsolescence period, where 2 years in, your device is old, right? Unless you've jailbroken it and basically optimized the software to work infinitely good. Um, but your device is old, so you have to make sure you buy the new one because the old one is old. So you have to buy the new one because the new one is new. That's the logic. Like, there's no real new features anymore. And I've worked at Apple, I've worked at Microsoft, and I know their strategies. They're very similar. They're not that far off from each other. Although the Microsoft guys that I worked with were a lot more tech orientated and actually knew what Linux was. Ironically enough, only a couple of Apple employees knew what Linux was, even though Mac is basically like a glorified lockdown version of Unix, Linux alternative. If you know what a terminal is, you know what the concept is there. So I was surprised that Microsoft people were actually more educated in the technical space than Apple people. But then again, I'm not really surprised because then I literally worked there for 2 years and I saw how much of a groupie session that store was versus actual technical knowledge. If you're working at Apple, I'm sorry, but there's a huge groupie incentive for you to just basically jump behind Apple and everything Apple and not really diverge from Apple. Even though if you've ever had an Apple device, if you put like a MacBook or whatever, you put Windows on that sucker, man, that sucker gonna run real good. If you put Linux on that sucker, like the hardware is pristine. The Apple hardware is pristine. Great, absolute quality. 10 out of 10. Will buy again, but I will reinstall some other system because the Apple OS is just, oh, I have an issue with a student that can't install OBS because his Mac version is too old and it doesn't support the new version. And I'm like, and he can't use OBS, really? And I'm like, dude, we're just gonna install Linux on your computer. It's gonna run 10 times faster, and you can install OBS and whatever else you want. So, a lot of reasons to not really be happy with the big corporations because what's their incentive? Well, it's a cyclical production incentive. Keep pumping out products, keep getting everyone to buy the latest one. Consumer life, right? Mm, But under the new economic strains, very difficult for people to actually, well, buy these kind of things. So you have a lot of people basically trying to go back to the old. I've seen people with emulators. In fact, someone in Italy, some streamer, got arrested for playing emulators of like a Game Boy or something online. Like there's a weird kind of in like a vintage rollback process that we currently are going through for a lot of people. And just be careful what you do online because technically corporations are still going to try and get their money from everything, even things that are old. Um, it's horrible. It's horrible. We're just run by corporations, and now we have some other issue with Steam where what is it? Crowd scream, crowd scream, one shout, crowd control. I don't know what they were. It was basically this weird feminist group of led by some Australian lady, that are trying to basically use the Visa and MasterCard processing, companies to lobby and or change the terms and conditions on Steam games, making some Steam games not able to be sold there. Granted, for me right now, I don't care because it's the Steam games I don't care about playing. It's the adult ones, which why would you want to go too crazy with those? Like this, some people got weird fetishes. But like my worry is like everyone else's worry is that it doesn't stop there. What's it going on? Thanks for that. It's American. It's just pure American. It's nothing crazy. Sometimes you hear me do a yeehaw or something, but it's nothing interesting. But I appreciate that you like my accent. Um, so there's a lot of weird corporate action process happening lately, and Windows is one of them. Windows wants to basically move everyone to Windows 11. And I'm not a fan. I really don't. Like, if you make me go to Windows 11, I'm going to Linux. And actually, this is the first step in which I'm going to Linux. And it's me showing you how to install a Linux system side by side, well, with your regular computer. Appreciate that, Miss Suit, if you like the kind of content, techie stuff, American accents, make sure to like and subscribe. It'll help out a lot. Um, so what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm ranting a little bit because I freaking hate corporations. Again, I worked at Apple and Microsoft, more like the frontliners, uh, at the store, the retail, but I was a techie too, so I'd fix people's computers. And sometimes they don't want us to fix the computer on the ground floor. They wanted us to sell like Apple Care or the Microsoft insurance crap, like so they can make more money. Howdy, howdy. Welcome in. So, I have a lot of pains with the big corpos. And it's not because they got to survive too, I guess, but it's mostly because they like listen, like as a salesperson, because that's the entryway. I had to learn, and which is a very good skill. It's body language, just the basics of how a person portrays themselves when their foot or legs or feet start facing the door. You know they're kind of anti wanting to leave. So what did they say? Oh, make sure you introduce something interesting. Use your character to entertain them, and then sell them more apple care. I'm like, get the fuck out of here! Like now we're using social psychology, like social engineering, to sell apple care. Like they're going through a lot. Um, but oh. Anyway, let's get back to the point of where we're here. Hi, Vagabond. Welcome in. Like and subscribe, bud, if you like technical stuff and random dude on TV. FD. FD. Not sure what FD is. So, I made a previous video on basically using PC Builder on how to build a PC, right? It's very simple. It's the beginnings. It's part one. I'm kind of wanting to go through a full aspect to it. I did a stream that does everything, but then eventually I get really focused in on building really fast, and then I end up just kind of being super silent. And you guys don't like it when a person's silent. So, hello, I'm not gonna not talk because sometimes it can get hyper focused, you guys. Sometimes my ADHD is strong, but when I get that OCD hyper focus mode, I may not read the chat, so I gotta maintain balance, right? Um, and then I get lost in all the thoughts that I have in my head. So we looked at first the hard drive access, right? So you got a hard drive bay down here, and what we're gonna be going over today is specifically what do we do with a hard drive? How and why do we need a hard drive? Well, obviously to store our files. But let's say you buy a new hard drive and you want to increase your PC's hard drive from like 500 gigabytes to an M.2 2 terabyte. Cool. That sounds great because you're going to speed up the crap out of your computer, but you bought a new hard drive. Cat, please don't break stuff. What are you doing? Come here. You're getting an empty hard drive, right? Oh, so you're getting an empty hard drive and you have to install stuff on it. This is my cat. SSD is good. I like M.2 because it's like way more like RAM related on the way it stores information, more like permanent RAM. But still has a really good sort of flow to it where especially me doing AI lately locally on my computer, it's super good for expanding just a little extra on the space you can use on your hard drive and the retrieval process of the file. So when you load a game, everything on the hard drive has to go to RAM. If you have a M.2, that sucker almost goes instantly. Like, especially when you turn on the computer, you're basically looking at like an instant boot up, right? So I'm actually gonna restart my current computer because I'm recording on one computer. This is my current active computer, and I'm gonna modify the hard drive, but also a hard drive can be split into multiple pieces. Oh, you're so chill right now. What's up? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is my cat Shadow, by the way. He's just chilling on my shoulder like a parrot right now, apparently. Um, my RAM 16 gig. Well, oh, 1600. That's a little low, ain't it? Let me see what mine is. An upgrade could be good on the RAM if you have any bottlenecks. Oh, I got a 4800 megahertz. So I have 32 gigabytes on my laptop right now. Which is good, but when I do, yeah, yeah, 1600 is pretty low. If it's a DDR3, maybe, consider that to be one of the things you want to upgrade first. Yes, I will be installing Linux on a multi-boot system. You can see in the background here. Okay. Whee! Go away. Okay, well you can just chill down here. You can see right here I have my Windows disk management open right now. I've already partitioned my system, right? Depends on what you're using a computer for, right? Your 1600 is low, but if you just use it as a regular work computer, it's not going to be crazy. If you do load up a lot of stuff in RAM, like a bunch of tabs, you're gonna have a slowing down system. Think of it this way. Here's what RAM does. RAM is your desk, okay? Hard drive your shelf with books, right? And you're basically trying to do something on your desk, and you take a book, you open it. That takes up some space in RAM. You're looking at it, and that's what the computer does. So I'm gonna go into Bazzite right now. This is the NVIDIA version, so let me actually load up the website. As far as I've heard, I haven't used it. I normally use Linux Mint, but Bazzite apparently and I'm doing this because most of my viewers are gamers. And actually, interestingly enough, like a third of you guys are female. So what's up, chicas? Welcome in. I'm actually proud of y'all for working with tech because, yeah, it's a guy's world, but it takes the incentive to come in and start working together. Not I really want both sides. I want it to be a 50-50. I want most people to essentially come in and be like, hey, I want to learn about computers no matter the case scenario. So I'm going to be doing Bazzite because it is a gaming system and I have old videos from 2010. Now, I haven't done this channel since 2010. I've done it for the last year, but back then I was like, "Ooh, I like Linux, so I'm gonna do Linux stuff." But also, we didn't have OBS, we didn't have all these kind of simplistic ways to record and work with stuff. So it was very difficult. I didn't have a video card. I was just a student. I didn't have that time, right? 2010. But I had enough time to like kind of load up Linux, Ubuntu back then, like 12.04 or something. And I did a lot of tutorials on just kind of like the old Linux, which that hasn't really changed. So you can go back into the videos and get a good idea of how to use Linux on a little bit more advanced than user basis. But the reason I'm doing Bazzite is because it's basically set up to be a gaming system. Back then, graphics drivers don't even think about it. Like that's the only reason I didn't really dive in really into Linux back then is because I was a gamer. Like there's no way for me to like run. I did do a dual boot, like do work on Linux, go to Windows, play some games, but that became a little bit extra, right? We're gonna do that. We're gonna set up two operating systems. Well, actually have it's gonna be three operating systems because I already have two Windows on this. Believe it or not, this PC has two Windows machines. This is my main Windows system here, and then this is my basically backup for security reasons. If anything happens with the main, I can always load up in my secondary Windows and then do some antiviruses and scannings and try to figure out if anything happened wrong or what happened. Right. But in the end, I have a backup Windows on my system. So I'm already kind of working with a multi-boot two OSs, which is those two Windows. Today, I'm adding Linux. I'm adding Linux and I'm adding Bazzite because I can play games on it. That's really it. But it's also because most people are looking for that, right? They're looking to basically play games on something else, and Windows has been the dominant character in the industry. And they basically took us all by the balls and said, hey, you want to play games? It's only on Windows. And of course, they would do that because they pay the hardware people to create a driver for Windows systems, but no one really gets paid from Linux. So why make a Linux system? However, Steam came in. Steam OS came in with the W. Lately, in the last couple of years, you've probably heard of Steam Deck. Well, that little sucker, not this one, because that's not the Steam Deck. It's just another basically portable device. But the Steam Deck introduced and got Valve to start working on Linux systems, which made basically integration to graphics cards flawless. So if you had any doubts about going to Linux in the past because a game's not working, not even a complaint, not even an excuse. You should basically get that started now. So we are gonna. I'm so like OCD right now, trying to clean stuff on my desk. Yeah. Let me see. Epic Games on Linux. I don't know why you use that. To be honest, Epic Games sucks. I've never even used it on Windows because every time I use it, it's the most inefficient piece of crap software I've ever used in my life. You can do it vanilla wine. Yeah, you can technically do it. Wine is a case of it's basically the DLLs and the conversions of the Windows system. So it'll run. I don't know how good it'll run. The solution found using heroic is good enough. Uses legendary in the background. So there's kind of like ports that you can use or a library. Wine was the original way we played systems. which one is the best? Bro, don't even use an emulator. Just use VirtualBox. Just use VirtualBox. Every emulator I've ever used in my life for Android basically where is mine? Basically always has like ads and crap. Especially when I used BlueStacks. BlueStacks? BlueStacks. I think it was BlueStacks. I used BlueStacks for a long time from the very beginning, and then they got popular. And guess what they did? Like every other freaking slop company. Oh, they decided to put every advertisement on in the world on my desktop. So eventually I uninstalled it, never went to it again. I have a little Android system I'm about to show you. Just get an Android ISO, so which you can basically download from Android. Uh SourceForge? SourceForge is good. SourceForge is better. I probably trust that one first. Uh Probably trust FossHub. Archive. Ooh, I love archive.org. Red velvet cake. You can even get it here. That's crazy. Basically download an ISO. I already have one installed, at least on one of my virtual machines, which I'm about to pull up from my Fast Boy SSD external drive. There you are. Workbench, Android. I just have to add it to my system. Can I just drag it? No. Huh? Oh, okay. Well, here it is, right? In my case, I already have a Android already set up, but you'd basically install it like a fresh install. You'd go new, you'd go in here, set up your type. In this case, I don't even know if they have Android in here or no. Hold on. We gotta go to Linux. Linux? No, not Oracle. You probably go for other Linux, but basically, I have an already existing one which I'm gonna grab because I have so many things that I can't fit it all in one system. Android. And you basically run a clean version of Android. There's no advertisement. It's literally just an emulated environment that you run on your system. And then you can go into the store, download your games, and go at it from there. Um, or you can do Android Studio, which basically does the same thing. Android Studio is the developer version of this system where it's kind of configured um, to run on a emulated environment where you can still go and play on it and use it as a main side system. Never got into. Hey, well, we're about to get into it. I got a couple of questions in the lobby, but we're definitely going into the first thing, and I want to kind of iterate back to like the setup, the beginning part is you have to have a setup on your partition. So what is a partition? So this first section here, the 100 megabytes of every basic sort of hard drive, it's like the secretary, the registry. This is where the rest of the hard drive is being defined. So there's always going to be a beginning set. This is a partition. It's only 100 megabytes. Don't let the size kind of trip you out because this is 300 gigabytes. It's not up to like scale, right? But this 100 megabytes acts as a kind of library. You never touch this. Normally, you never touch this. The operating system modifies it and does whatever it needs to. This would be my first main C drive. This is basically where the current system is. Here's a little recovery that came with the system a long time ago. I kept it here. It's probably infected. I probably got to change it. Then I kind of separated some pieces, right? So I have a total of a 1 terabyte space, but I've separated my hard drive into multiple pieces. Why would I do that? Well, remember that most of the system runs from C. So if you get infected with a virus, specifically if it doesn't know or scour the rest of your drives, normally most of them won't, or you can even restrict the other drives to basically have specific access. It's only going to infect the C drive, the Windows space before. So you're able to kind of like, oh, something's going wrong. My computer's starting to fall apart. You turn it off completely. Don't let it spread. And then I have a secondary Windows over here, 40 gigabytes or 39.06. I'd go in here, I'd start scanning my main drive, C. So I'm already dual booting two Windows operating systems. So I'm scanning my main C drive, trying to see if I can fix it. Sometimes it's fixable, sometimes it's already corrupted. But if you kind of catch it at the right time, you're able to basically just reformat one drive and then keep all the other partitions untouched. All right, so I've got an extra nitro here. I've got a secondary MV2 over here as well. So this is basically for most of my like AI stuff. I put most of my AI stuff into MV2 because it gets loaded a lot faster. This is just an empty one that I'm gonna format and I'm gonna put my Linux on this one right here. 60 gigs that I never really it was too small for AI. I needed a lot of space for it. But anyway, secondary E partition for my Windows. We're gonna go into how to boot into those. When you have multiple Windows partitions, it's already kind of set up to give you like, hey, you have, oh, actually, let's look at this. So, you go to run the boot options. This is actually a pretty good space where you can see multiple definitions, right? So here we have Windows 10, current OS, default OS. Then I have another one over here, an H. We just H, H, H. ASA recovery. No, it's not a Windows. No, that's just some files from my drivers. E. Yeah, there we go. So this is the other operating system I have here. I guess for some reason it's these are just files for recovery. Acer recovery. I have an Acer and those are my recovery files. So anytime I have to basically reinstall everything, I just go to that little partition and boom, 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 reinstall all my drivers. Now, in the case of like a full system collapse, which I haven't had, and normally you should, once you kind of start seeing something's going wrong, slowing down, your Windows starts acting up, that's when you just hold the power button for 30 seconds, maybe about 15 seconds, and you just force that sucker to shut down. You don't trust the shutdown button. You don't trust let me wait for it to shut down. You just force that sucker to shut down. And then you go into another operating system and you start scanning. Because the more time you wait for it to do something, that virus, that whatever is propagating, going through as many files as that can. And at first, it tries to spread through the main drive that you're installed with, which basically is the Windows. Once it takes over the Windows drive, it tries to go into anything else it's connected to, USBs, hard drives, whatever. But for me, as soon as I even know, like it wasn't too long ago on the Twitch. And then thanks for coming in YouTube. I love you guys. I'm not very fond of Twitch, although sometimes Twitch is pretty cool. But most of the time, there was this dude that, was doing programming, just basically showing how to use Grok to create your own games, right? And someone's like, "Oh, I made a Flappy Bird game. Cool, great." I opened it up in Brave. I was very surprised at the results. And what this website did, it did an injection. It went into my terminal with command prompt on Windows, and then it opened up Internet Explorer behind the scenes and then connected to that same website. Because apparently, like Brave is pretty secure, but nothing stops like a little bit of an injected piece of code to basically run like, literally in command, like Edge, and then go to www whatever website, right? That's it. Especially if you know where the location is installed about Edge, and Edge and freaking Internet Explorer pieces of crap anyway. So even though my Brave browser was, basically impenetrable, some little bit of code went into my command prompt, and I saw it because I used any.run. If you ever are suspicious about websites, you go to any.run and you set up a free account and you just tell it to go to a website. And then you click on whatever you think is malicious, and it creates like a little bit of like a Windows operating system. Like you can see it right here, and it just lets whatever happens. So you can get to watch and then also get a report on what's being activated, like basically like a security assessment to see, hey, I'll go to this website. What is it going to do to my computer? You go to any.run and then go to the website and their little emulator. You don't open it on your browser, and then you let it run. But a lag Android emulator? I mean, depends on what kind of emulator you have. If you have one of those BlueStacks emulators, you're probably dealing with a lot more bloat, like advertisements and features that aren't necessary. So if you just install your own little, like this one here, let me see. Did I load? I think I have to reinstall it because I haven't used it in a bit. It was running a second ago. But I don't really use the Android that much. I had a couple of games on this one. I think I picked a bad version. Let me reset this. It's probably the bloat. Yeah. If you have like a secondary access point on your drive or on your PC or on your laptop, like this one has a chamber, a bay for a regular um, SSD or HDD through a PCI connection, the micro PCIs, and then it has like the little slot for an M.2 NVMe. So it kind of has like a two drive option. Actually, that's the reason I bought this guy. The guy was asking me if I want a warranty. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna open this up anyway. I'm gonna open this sucker up and install my own shit. Like, get out of here. So I installed extra RAM and the NV.2. Um, so I thought that was running for a second, but maybe I let it go into like screensaver mode. It's not optimized. The This is basically running an x86 Android emulator, which is like just the ISO, right? So it's the operating system directly on this virtual machine. And normally, okay. And the one thing about these virtual boxes is your mouse will get locked into the screen until you press the actual keyboard control button to get out of it. So sometimes you'd be like, oh yeah, capture, cool. And then you can't leave the screen. You're like, where's my mouse? You just got to press control, the right control. Anyway, any that run, great to analyze websites. I had somebody that basically sent me a virus in one of their websites. I was stupid and naive and I trusted Twitch and I opened it up and I had to reinstall. So that's where I'm coming from now to reinstall. Keish, I remember you, buddy. Welcome in. It's been a while. It's been a while. Life is good. I went on a little bit of a farm life bit there. Uh, Kind of get out of the city, get dirty. Had like a lot of walnuts from last year that I needed to get through on the ground because the walnut tree is about to birth again, as they say. We're about to get more walnuts, so I had to clean up a little bit on the garden. Uh, Very hot though. I'm gonna tell you, like it's been very, very hot, and it wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago where we started getting a lot less like fruits, especially fruits. Even tomatoes. This year, tomatoes and the cucumbers like literally just dried the hell out. It was horrible. So I think I have to load this up a little bit more. Yeah, well, it kind of didn't. I was surprised. I was surprised. The problem was, I think, because it somehow just opened up Edge underneath, it was just opening up a browser. So I've got AVG antivirus set up. It's the free version. I don't care too much about it. I've got the firewall too that's basically trying to protect, but really it was more of an injection through um HTTP. So it was an already allowed port, nothing that you can be done from there. But I'm not sure how it bypassed. I'm not sure how it bypassed. All it did, I mean, I'm sure it had an exploit load already. It just couldn't get through Brave, and apparently it had to open up Edge. And I think I'm pretty sure, unless Microsoft put that sucker back on, I'm pretty sure I just deleted the whole folder for Internet Explorer. All it. Uh, yeah. Oh, good. It's still gone. Good. You stay away. Oh, they reinstalled WebCore, WebView. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Thank you, sir. Bye, Kish. Thanks for joining. It's ridiculous that they include Internet Explorer into the computer system when it is actually a backdoor. I don't understand why in the world that's still a case. Why we have Internet Explorer, why they're pushing it when it's basically the reason why people get hacked. For the fact that, again, it didn't even use, or anyway, it didn't even use Brave to inject. It somehow had to open up and completely connect to the same website the Edge was connected to, the Brave was connected to. And it did it through Internet Explorer and then screwed everything up. Anyway, I babbled too much. I think I have enough people to kind of go forward with this. So again, C drive, my current OS. This is just a recovery installation. Every hard drive has a initial sort of registry, kind of like a map of your hard drive. And always has to do with bits and bytes. So this location here up to here, 292 gigabytes is the C drive, so on and so forth. Now there's also types of formats. Notice that most of these Windows based are NTFS, 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 NTFS. we'll be doing extension 4. Extension 4 means I'm going to have to basically reinstall this sucker here or format it into a different format. Unfortunately, if I try to do it here, oh wow, Windows doesn't give me any other options than whatever Windows supports. Isn't that cute? So I won't be able to do any extension 4 um, formatting here. This is where a little tool on a little SD card, SD card attached to a USB adapter. And then I'm going to boot off of this. This is a 128 gigabyte SD card with a couple of tools in there, including GParted, my Bazzite installation. I think I have a Windows installation on there. Linux Mint is on there. I'm going to show you exactly how. And if you do want to have a multi-boot system, because this is most cases you have what was that single USB creator? I forget what it's called, but I use Yumi, multi-boot installer. Yumi basically gives you the ability to take one USB stick, as long as it's big enough, throw it in there, install any Linuxes you want. It basically like installs a basic boot record and then a small little like mountable ISO program. And then it just copies the ISO for each one of these applications into it. So like what does it look like realistically? Like this. It's a little custom little stick here. Let me show you. Yumi is great. Honestly, I've played with it so much, especially as like a tech tool. I've got people that are like, "Hey, my system is not working," and then I just bring my little Yumi stick with me, and I end up like just scanning systems, playing around. So you've got the Yumi space here, where you have literally just the ISO. It's literally just copying and pasting the ISO. You can do it manually too, basically. But in the end, you just have to download the actual ISOs, Fedora, Linux Mint, anonymous browsers, Tails, and the real kind of application is on a different partition, VTOI EFI. So it's an EFI boot process, and it uses Grub. So it's basically using Grub to mount the tool, which is probably the mount tool. There it is. So the mount of the ISOs and then boots into the ISO. So really that's it. Like you don't have to install the whole ISO onto the USB. At this point, I can just go into my Yumi directory here and just drag and drop all the ISOs I want, and it'll identify them. Although you probably have to basically go through here and add these particular values to customize the menu. We're about to see what that looks like. But I need to use GParted. Let me see if I still have that sucker. I think I do. Oh, system tools? Yeah, GParted. So it's a partition. I love GParted. It's been my kind of assistant in drive recovery, installation, optimization, customization ever since I started using Ubuntu back in 2010. But basically, we're ready to go. This is drive one. My target is my little AIF disk. I'm going to reformat that using GParted because there's nothing much to do here. Windows doesn't give me anything to use. And everything else is going to stay the same. But in the end, let's go for it. So I'm going to shut down my system. And you'll be able to see this because, again, I'm kind of patching it through um, a video card. So I'm shut down. Look at that SSD. MV2 just shut down. Love the speed. And then the problem is getting back up. So if you haven't set it up yet, you essentially do want to either find your computer's actual shortcut keys, mine are F12, or escape to go into boot. Every computer is different, and every motherboard really is different. F12 for me gives me the ability to go into Windows Boot Manager. This is from the BIOS, right? We haven't loaded anything yet. This is just from the BIOS on the system. I can load into Windows, which will show the two Windows systems I have installed on that side, or the USB that I have as my um, boot USB live stick, right? Um, the key here is you should have this shortcut without having to worry about going into Boot Manager, but you may have to adjust some settings in your BIOS, like booting from external devices. Sometimes you may need to adjust the order of the boot, so you put the USB on the top, but then that means anyone that's basically anyone, if somebody takes your computer, but then again, they can still go into BIOS unless it's not locked. Then you have to lock your BIOS. Basically, if you have physical contact with a computer, kiss your ass goodbye because they can do anything to that computer. But so it doesn't even matter. But you can basically use it to load up directly from the USB. I like to keep it as a secondary option wherever I need it. It's a shortcut key. I press F12 on the boot process, F12. It may be F2, it may be F3, F9, F10. Look at your motherboard, look at your laptop, search it online, how to go into BIOS settings or how to boot option menu on a Acer, on a Asus, on the laptop you have, or on the desktop motherboard you have. The motherboard really is what deducts the shortcut key. Keep that in mind. If you have laptops, it's pretty standard. If you have a motherboard that's in the PC and you're not sure, you might want to check the motherboard out, see what you have. So I'm going to select obviously my USB hard drive, enter. Then it boots up my little Yumi. So anonymous browsers, Linux ISO system tools. Now I'm going to go eventually into my Bazzite NVIDIA. So there are two versions of this. I accidentally installed or downloaded the deck, which is actually like a Steam front end. So if you're actually installing onto a device that's supposed to be like a Steam Deck or a portable gaming system, you can use the deck NVIDIA stable version because it basically uses like the big picture mode in Steam as the default interface, which is great because you don't have to worry about like clicking on teeny tiny icons as a mouse. But if you're doing it on the desktop, you can use the Bazzite NVIDIA Open Stable. NVIDIA because I am on an NVIDIA system right now. Although I'm not ready to install this, Bazzite is kind of a very user-friendly installation. If you're basically just planning on wiping out the whole drive, you basically just go into Bazzite NVIDIA, call it a day. And then you just continue, enter username, connect to Wi-Fi. Yes, I want media codecs, and then press enter, and it'll basically reformat, install the whole thing. But because I'm going to be a little bit intricate with the details, I want to not just install it, but I want to specifically install it into a specific partition. This is where I'm going to go into my system tools into GParted. I'm going to go into normal. And there we go. Super simple. Love this little sucker. It's very tiny. GParted live. Bunch of little boot menus until we get to the actual system. Cool. Weird. What the heck is up there in that corner? It's kind of like a well, welcome to the Matrix hackers screen of text flowing down. I can't even tell you what I'm looking at. It's so tiny. All right, cool. It's not even the full screen. Oh, maybe because it's projecting through my graphics card. Because I only see like the upper corner of it being projected here, but you do see the full on the screen. So there's like a little part of it that's not actually showing. But okay. So it's gonna ask you, this is Gparted again. We're not installing, we are setting up the hard drive. Don't touch key map, that's fine. Everything's default, just press enter, 33 English, don't touch key map. Continue start X. So, okay, a little key to kind of remember here. Every Linux system comes with a terminal interface where you can go into like a command line and do everything from command line. Not recommended unless you know your particular sets of commands. But a lot of these tools like gparted have a X interface, which basically is a interface for a GUI interface there. Hi, kick person. Doing more advertising, huh? Appreciate that. I'm gonna press 0 here. You're gonna see a lot of solicitors in chat. Don't Discord message anybody. It's all fake. Just for the record. A lot of spammers in the world, and they just keep wanting to get us whatever way they can. All right. Voila. Uh, hold on. It's double casting. Can I change that? Hold on. Fluxbox menu. It's doing an extend. It's extending the desktop space, but I'm not sure how to modify. So that's fine, I guess. Whatever. I'll show you up here. There we go. So here's that same setup, basically, a little bit more accurate, based on the drives themselves. So this is my 1 terabyte space. This is GParted. GParted really is just this one application, but it does come with like different types of Oh, oh, wait a minute. Let's default. Ah, wait. Yay. Okay, I did fix it. All right. All right, so now we're in the same screen. So GPart is just this application. You can look at like an Ubuntu. You don't have to basically just use this particular drive, or this particular GParted boot up. You can essentially just use like an Ubuntu and it already has GParted installed, right? But this is kind of like my simple little tool on the side that I can get to at any time I need to without loading a whole operating system. So this time I love Gparted because it's telling me, hey, here's your C drive. It's not really labeling it as C drive, but hey, NVMe, it's the type of mounted value. So this is an NVMe drive. It's 293. Fiction reality when edgy kids have idols like Flash and Superman. I mean, realistically, who can be your superhero? I don't know. I'd go for someone maybe like I mean, I don't know, man. Someone techie. Nikolai Tesla. Nikolai Tesla. Not Tesla, not Elon Musk, the original brain of the world. All right. So I idolized the fuck out of him. He was amazing. He gave us Wi-Fi, guys. Nikolai Tesla literally gave us Wi-Fi. He created the first freaking boat that was controlled by a radio frequency. That was magic back in the black and white TVs, or not even TV, it was just photos at that time. He basically like did a lot. He turned a lot of fiction into reality if you really put your mind on that case, Entropo. He definitely threw in his hat into the round. He wanted to help people out, but JP Morgan didn't have that same enthusiasm for helping people. He wanted more the money. So JP Morgan back in the day kind of killed Tesla, Nikolai Tesla. Not killed him physically, but the dreams he had. I'm a big Tesla fan, don't get me started. Not Elon Musk. I hate when people construe the fact that there was a person, an entity called Nikolai Tesla. Look it up. Has nothing to do with the chaos of politics today. Don't mix those two. Please don't. Don't dirty Nikolai Tesla based on the human beings of today. They're all kinds of cooked, man. All kinds of cooked. I think TikTok ruined people. All this social media ruined people. No one's down to just learn random stuff to gain skills somewhere. It's just one of those things. What was I doing? Nikolai Tesla. Backtracking. Idols. You distracted me. That made, yeah, there it is. That made his funding stop. He basically, yeah, wanted to transport. I love physics. Don't get me started on physics. And he was onto something. The motion of the Earth is already portrayed as a bunch of particles being essentially moved around. There's things moving around us at all the times that we can't physically comprehend because there's not a physical entity to it, just like wireless frequencies. So he found a way to basically harness the motion of Earth and all of its potential, like just natural forms through magnetism to create energy that's already being used around us. And then he just wanted to connect it all together into like the wireless Tesla frequency through like the atmospheric aspect to it. So he kind of wanted to charge the atmosphere. The one thing we don't realize, every electrician will tell you that the ground is a neutral, right? If you don't want to get shocked, if you want to basically ground your house so you don't have a blown up power from a lightning, you will ground it, or AKA literally a giant stick in the ground, tie wire into the stick that's in the dirt, and then connect it to your outlets or to your electrical system. But we don't really think of it on the grander scale. We think of it on the localized, my little house and my little garden, but we don't think about the earth. The earth is actually a conductor. giant conductor. That's why electricity goes down. And it's constantly passing information and electromagnetism through it. That's a whole different subject. Don't stop distracting me. But yeah, Tesla wanted to do a lot of good things. And that didn't work out because corporations kind of got the best of us all. Don't trust the media, for the record. It's just not a good thing. They always play a vindictive type of melody. All right. So like and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate you here. We've got a good amount of people. I love you guys for joining. Get some techie knowledge in there. Get yourselves informed, and especially with the new Windows 10 to 11 push. I'm seeing a lot of more interest. I mean, I'm seeing YouTubers like PewDiePie, uh, something gamers. What was his name? Just the ordinary gamers. So many people talking about Linux lately. But Arup always talks about games, Linux, but PewDiePie getting all technical from Japan, that's pretty intense. So like and subscribe, get that knowledge down. Ask your questions if you have any. I'm always here to basically gather and give detail to anything necessary, but I would appreciate your subscription if you think this is useful for you. Anyway, back to the system. GParted. This is a partition editor. I need to remember where my system was. This was a 58. Okay, so you're not going to see the same naming convention. Oh, actually, I do. There's AI. Good. So there's my gotta really hunt it down based on the size. There's my NTFS. This is my main C Windows drive. This is my secondary. Nope, that's the recovery. Nope, nope. There's my secondary. It's a gigabyte. This is my Nitro drive, which is normally where I store files that I don't want to basically copy and paste all over again. You saw earlier I had a little thing called portable apps. Portable apps is a great way. You can look it up at any point. We'll probably go over. Oh, wait, I have a browser? Fool. Wait a second. Really? Oh man, interesting. Try to up. Oh, collecting the info of network devices. Hold on. I'm interested in how much the system actually has installed. We don't have IW list, IF config. We have IF config, but we don't have any wireless drivers. So I guess this would work only if I hard connect myself into a wired system. It does not have wireless drivers. The GParted tool operating system. It's super lightweight, so I'm not really that surprised. So there's not going to be any browser usage here, but we'll take a look at it later. Portable apps is great because I can basically install it onto a USB and then just use that USB on any computer, and I have my standard set of applications. Or I plug it into, not plug it, I install it on a secondary drive, and I always have my applications that I always use. And remember, you can always change the directory and where you install stuff. You don't have to always install it in C drive program files. You can install it on a different drive partition, and then if something happens to your main partition, you just kind of reinstall the main partition, and you still have all of your applications and all your details without having to constantly reinstall. I do this because I like to have a backup. I like to be always secure, and if anything goes wrong, as it has once every 2 or 3 years, something gets through. Because I play with a lot of coding, a lot of applications, debugging, and sometimes I like to play with some viruses here and there, so I end up kind of screwing some stuff over. But hey, and sometimes I give too much trust to Twitch chatters. I'm looking at you, Twitch. You gave me that link last time. What a so install Linux over Windows? Linux over Windows would be way easier. You just basically, if you're back up your Windows and everything you want to keep, but if you're doing Linux over Windows, you're essentially gonna reformat the whole Windows drive and just flat out nice clean install on Linux. This one is a bit more technical, where I'm actually gonna do a multi-boot system. So I do have to repeat myself once in a while for those that are already here and for those that are just joining. So right now my main partition here has a C, is this my C drive on my Windows main, but then I also have a backup Windows right over here, AME, which is basically like my security Windows, two. I have two Windowses on one computer, yes. But I've partitioned my operating system accordingly. The best time to partition, like let's say the whole thing was just one giant partition. Normally, that's how the computer system works, right? You buy a laptop or a PC from some website wherever, and it's just one giant partition, and then there's Windows and there's like a bunch of free space. You can actually see this here. This yellow section is how much is being used, and the white space is how much space is free. Okay. But normally, if you buy a new system, you're gonna have like 20, 30 gigs used for the Windows system, operating system, and then like 970 gigabytes white free. So what I would do right away, if you're ever getting a new computer or reinstalling, is once you basically get that system set up, I use GParted and just cut that sucker in half. And then from there, in this case, not even half. This is 1 terabyte, so 300, a third. I gave my Windows operating system about a third of the actual hard drive. And then this second drive here is basically where all my backup applications are, anything that I could run from a secondary partition. So if my primary partition gets infected, I have a secondary partition to go to. And not only that, when I run it from here, my backup windows, both of these Windows systems can access my backup partition. So literally, I kind of have two systems, two Windows systems that use that 500 in the middle. I have the main 292 that uses the 500 gigabytes, and then the little teeny tiny 40 gigabyte backup Windows system for security reasons, and that also accesses the middle. So there's a kind of like a pipeline. I've just kind of like optimize my partitions to be completely useful whenever anything might happen. So if anything goes wrong with my main system, I just kind of go down and then I just reboot into my secondary with a bunch of scanners, clam AV, AVG, rootkit scanners, everything's in here. And then I can access still all the applications in the middle. But I like games. So this main drive here, the 292, that's basically just full of games. So if anything happens there, I just whatever, I just reinstall the system, right? But yeah, it's only games because even my AI is on a secondary system. Anyway, I do have a lot of artificial intelligence models, DeepSeek, Mistral, Code Llama. We go through a lot of the interesting tech stuff, so make sure you subscribe and like and notifications for when I'm live so you can see basically anything. I mean, we go everything from programming to technicals to, yes, a lot of partitions. Welcome. But I only recommend messing with the partition size at the very beginning because if you're kind of mid or half or higher, like you're basically using 700 out of 900 and you want to resize the partition, you may affect some files on your system, especially if you use a hard disk drive, because the way that the hard disk drive works is basically the way that it randomly puts files in different places and you may accidentally cut off some files in the resizing. So, what do? I want to basically change this AI partition that I was going to use for AI, but it's too tiny. However, perfect for Linux. I'm going to select it from here. I'm going to format to. In fact, I'm just going to delete it first, clean it up. Nothing happens yet. Keep in mind, GParted lets you basically uh, kind of lay out what you want to do. And in my case, I'm just saying, hey, first step, clean it up. Second step, new. And then you can kind of resize. Here's the case for the resize, right? You can basically cut this in half, cut this in different sizes. What I would normally do, well, I think the installer is going to do that for me potentially. I think I'm not sure, but I would do like a slash for root, and then you got like a boot section, which is normally tinier, and then you got a user section, what has like all of the files, and basically just more. Um, I usually use XFS. Interesting. Hardened kernel. I like extension 4 simply because I've actually seen it work better on the indexing of files, especially when I have a lot of files. I have to do more research on the XFS, but I mean, for hardened kernel, hmm, hmm, it's kinda efficient. What would you say the biggest efficiency between XFS and the extension 4 efficiency would be, Mr. Beaver, Mr. Bionic Beaver? What is your take on XFS versus extension 4? I hope you're thinking of going with BTRFS. Its subvolumes is a lot better than a bunch of partitions. Uh, fair, fair. I'm not going to be adjusting too much on the Linux side because I'm just going to have one. Ah, I'd say for file journaling. Okay. So XFS is good for file journaling versus extension 4, or are you talking that extension 4 is better in that case? Oh, it is, weirdly enough. Fair. I have this multiple participant system, but with physically separate drive system games data. Basically, right? Right? If you have multiple, I mean, if you got a basic, like a huge PC, Kuno, 100%. Like one drive for games, one drive for like just put. I mean, you can put what, four drives in a bay, and then probably like attach three more drives on the back wall, like SSDs, tinies, and then maybe another M2 on the board itself. Yeah, yeah. This is like the laptop version of that system, right? So I don't know. I'm used to extension 4 if I was gonna go into that maybe, but I'm gonna go with extension 4. I'm not gonna overcomplicate the Linux part because again, this is kind of like a backup right now. Eventually, what could happen is after I install my main system here, I could convert my main Windows if I decide to get rid of that eventually because Windows pisses me off a little bit extra. I'll basically reformat that into extension 4 and just attach it as an extra drive on my Linux, and then I have an expanded space. This is GParted. It's hardly a distro. This is basically a tool set that I have on a Yumi USB live disk for a multi-boot system. I have a bunch of tools on there. I have GParted. I have Tails. I am going to be installing Bazzite from that USB stick. I also have OPH crack if you know what that is. Good for you. If you don't look it up. I'm not supposed to say things. Anyway, partition name. Blah blah blah. That's all I'm gonna do really. I'm just gonna format it and I'm gonna let Bazzite figure it out. Because Bazzite's not gonna take a look at the other drive. It's gonna try and identify something it knows about and it knows extension for. Now, if I want to make the change, I press the little check mark. This check mark, apply. Now it's formatting. Now it's done. That little partition was empty anyway. Again, I was planning on using it as like an AI space, but it didn't have enough space. So I basically use another drive, a M2 drive, which is great. If you have any AI systems or AI models running on your computer, I recommend putting that model on an M2 drive because it gets parsed a lot faster. All right, so okay, there we go. Extension 4, 58.59. That's it. That's all I needed to do. GG. No, I'm just kidding. Now we go into Bazzite and I have to actually do the installer. So I'm gonna exit. I basically just cleaned out a partition, nothing crazy. But in the end, like you can basically play around with these. You can right click, resize, move. See, you can kind of resize up to that point in which your files are being used. So that's not a lot of a resize here, right? So that's why I like to actually resize using gparted when I have a fresh install or just a fresh hard drive. I initially just make the partition system I'd like to use and kind of plan forward, this part here for the OS, this part here for some documents and files, and this part here for some games, etc., etc. And then after that, you just kind of let it flow and they all get filled up and etc. So exit, reboot. Can I reboot, please? There we go. And now we go back down. So now we're going back down to the BIOS level. I gotta press my F12 key, I think. Pretty sure. Please remove the live media. I'm not gonna do that because I need to go back into it. Again, this lower level of the computer is what you have to be comfortable with your motherboard. If you're not sure what your keys are for pressing, I'm right now spamming the F12 key so I can go into my boot up process and change boot selection. There we go. You have to know what particular motherboard you're using to know the shortcut keys to get to this menu. And of course, you can do some modifications to the BIOS, so you just plug it in and it automatically goes into the USB, but I don't normally like recommend it because sometimes you might have, I just don't recommend booting into anything else automatically by default unless it's like another operating system that you want to use as a main. So here, going back to my USB, this is where you were asking what system was I using? I was using the Gparted Live RescueZilla, kind of for any file recovery. Then this one, I haven't used this one, but this is like a universal toolkit. I might take a look at that later. that you can basically use to repair, scan viruses. It's kind of like a universal set of tools. Delete's pretty normal. F12, F11 or delete normally. Yeah, I'm not even sure. I think I have a Seuss board. I'm not too sure. But anyway, we're gonna now go into the unlisted. Yumi didn't have a Bazint? I forgot what the name was already. Bazzite? Bazzite. It didn't have a Bazzite option, so I kind of put it in the unlisted ISOs. But that doesn't mean anything. It just copies and pastes the ISO in here. Remember, ISO is essentially for that, like a complete. Who knows? Press one if you know what a CD is. I want to see. Who knows what a CD is? Or a DVD? Or back in the day when we would use PlayStation, freaking anything that wasn't basically download off of a cloud, right? So ISO is a format, right? It's basically the copy of that CD, and that copy is put into digital form. Thank you, Kuno. I see you know what it is. I guess nobody else does. Please press two if you don't know what a CD is. So one for yes, I know CD. Two, no, I don't know CD. Anyone in between automatically goes to I don't know what a CD is. So this is where I'll basically have again two options. I don't know if floppy for the win. All right, don't go too retro. You're gonna scare the young ones. They're not gonna know what floppy is about. So you have the deck version, which again is if you want to install Banzai on a portable gaming system, like a Steam Deck type device. There's a bunch of them. Asus has one. uh, or NVIDIA OpenStable. This is kind of you get this ISO from Bazzite, the website, and you kind of select the type of hardware you have. You can get an AMD version as well. 525 for the dinosaur in the room. That's the mustache. You can't tell, but this mustache has been around for since the T-Rex ages. But this is the one I'm going to use because I want a desktop-based system. I don't want to use that Steam big picture mode, but you can if you need to for the deck. That's the deck. Basically installs the same thing. Did not cassette tapes come before the huge floppies? We did have, well, damn, that's a good question. Floppy was like the portable version, but if you were like on a data center, you would have basically cassette tapes that would be hooked up to constantly read data, and then you'd have to rewind it. But if you're talking about data, not like music cassette tapes, right? It all depends on what type of use that cassette tape was. Before even the cassette tape, there was the hole punchers, the little you get a piece of paper, write an application, just punch some holes in that sucker and feed it into the machine. It's like a scantron for the computer. Poor thing. Anyway, I'm gonna go into the Bazzite NVIDIA stable system, and I'm gonna boot in normal. I guess Grub 2 is a different case scenario there. Going through a bunch of different boot systems. There's my Grub version 2. Now, test this media and install. Let me test it. Because last time I kept going into this, but it wouldn't load it. But I think because I was loading it into the different system. We're going to go retro. We're going back to retro, you guys. I think AI is pushing us to go back. I think we're going to go way back. I'm honestly like happy to see like a game like I'm happy to see even though I'm not a fan of the Switch, I'm happy to see they're still using cartridges. I am. I really am. Like it's just so simple. Like nowadays, yeah, of course, you can have like so much space on a tiny little freaking cartridge. Why do we need CDs anymore? Like, yeah, they get scratched. Oh, I know why. Because once they get scratched, you gotta buy the fucking game again. But no, just get a little cartridge that's like 50 gigabytes, 100 gigabytes, whatever the size you want, because nowadays technology is so like advanced. And then have a whole like I love the Switch 2 for that, the Switch 1 and 2. But I think I prefer the 1. I think they didn't do too much with the 2. I heard basic stuff on it. Okay, great. I'm in a dual monitor mode and my main monitor is empty while you guys at least see the installation process. Okay, US. Oh, this is not a testing environment. Unfortunately, this is not me testing the. Normally, when you go into live CD, you're actually going to get the operating system pop up and be like, all right, here's your desktop, play around, and then you can click the installer and then go for it. But In this case, it's just kind of like showing me the installation process. So I'm going to continue with what I can see. So boom, here's the installation process. I got to select the destination. So basically everything's basically simplified, right? Click on the pieces, US, language support. I can connect to my Wi-Fi, installation destination. This is where I'll go to my main hard drive where I did the partition. This is my actual USB stick that I'm working with. This is my M2 SSD that I'm using for my AI stuff. And then this is basically the main drive. So I'm gonna go here, but I'm gonna go to, oh, hold on, chat's in the way. I can't even see my own screen because I'm using the secondary. Custom. All right. Sorry, I had to move you a little bit out of the way. So custom, hold on, my little effects over here getting in the way. Top left. So I'm gonna go for custom, right? Advanced. No, 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 no. Advanced custom. Okay, let's do that. Done. Okay, now we go to the next one. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna select this, my extension for. It's a nicer way of showing the partitions, not by size, but yeah, it's not bad. So, oh, you dancing little mother effer. Move over. Do 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 do. I feel old. Hold on. Why can I not see? Why is my main screen over here on the? CD is longer lasting if you put it in a non-degradable environment. So yeah, like you can basically put it in a vacuum and then it'll basically go forever. Every time you take it out, you lose a little bit of integrity, but hey, you never need to get the files out of there. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, so here we are. Information, new. Okay, well, that's kind of already set up then, yeah. I just have to select. So that should be good. Done. Uh-oh, what does it say? Press the done. I can't see because hold on. Hold on. Get my face out of here real quick. I need to go like full. Oh no, I can do this. Hold on, hold on. Because I'm on the video card. I can grab the actual Narvi vid cap, take it into windowed mode, and then put on my other screen. The beauty of it. Okay. So no pending action, create error checking storage configuration. So this is the one I wanted to. This is my AME. I mean, technically, okay, maybe, okay. I believe because I already put it in extension 4, it's not, it's like, it's already used, but I'm gonna delete this. This is my backup that I did. Or not the backup, but the extension 4 I did earlier. There we go, free space. So now I'm gonna attach the free space to the done. Okay. Undo last action, new, pending action. Delete partition, destroy format extension 4. Are you not acting on it? Uh, I guess I may have to do all the partition bits as mounted points too. Ugh. All right, I guess I'm gonna do this manually. All right, so we're gonna have a boot. I think it was a slash boot. Uh, I don't remember. I don't remember. Let me see. Linux partition mount points. Custom. It's always like a slash or a mount. I always let it kind of work for on a automated process. System, fstab, SDA, mount point installation, my name, mount. No. Uh, Custom installation. You can basically like install everything on one particular. Wait. Yeah, what am I doing? Why am I going so hefty on it? I'm just gonna do a mount point slash. Forget it. I'm not gonna split this. And I'm gonna call this a Bazzite. Bazzite. No need to encrypt. Just keep it that way. Mount point slash. This was like the advanced custom way, so uh, uh. All right, two pending actions. How do I activate the actions? Is it not done? Okay, so delete and then create. I'm not liking the installer for Bazzite. I almost want to just basically go back to Linux Mint. Like this is making me want to go to Linux Mint. Failed to find suitable stage 1 EFI system must be mounted on one. Cannot be of type none. EFI system partition cannot be of type NTFS. EFI must be mounted on one of boot slash EFI. Type NTFS system partition. Am I not on a specific type? I'm on EFI. Set mount point, label. I believe it has a Ventoy-based operating system on it. Yeah, on the you have to create boot root and swap. Ugh, okay, let me see. Format scheduled to be created and wait. Uh, okay, so it's not making any changes. It hasn't made any changes that I've actually wanted. It's literally just giving me the steps like GParted is. No action. Okay. The problem with Bazzite is once I get to a certain point, how do I go back to the main menu now? Is it up here? Partitioning? Up here? No? US? No? I can't go back to the main menu. I'm kind of stuck in this section. I've had this happen to me before. I don't, what if I wanted to cancel this? What if I don't want to do this? Do I have to like go backwards, reset? What? Oh, nope. I can't do done. There's no back. This is not the nicest installer I've ever actually used, so I kind of just want to go Linux Mint. I'm very close to just doing Linux Mint. The only thing I like about Bazzite is it's got some sort of NVIDIA support, but I'm kind of not liking this right now. There's no back button. I can't press. Oh, error, checking storage configuration. All right, good. So let's do a regular custom. Go to this disk. Go to done, even though we're not done. We're just kind of going forward. Okay. Standard partition on my 58. There we go. All right. This is what I wanted. Mount point slash. It should still use the same location. Like you can still have a singular unless you want it to go crazy. Although there is an automatic. Click here to create them automatically. Okay, so there we go. I'll do that. I'll let it create it automatically. The best case is to split them. It's again a sense of like isolating each file from each other. And this is one of the reasons Linux is pretty good in its own defense, is because most of its files are pretty separated from each other on those partition-based cases. All right, so I've selected this. Available space, total space. Good. Selecting this. You're going to do it automatically. Click here to do it automatically. Right, right, right. But I'm going to select you. And I'm going to... Oh, done. You haven't created any mount point. You can't. Create new mount point by clicking plus. If I do it automatically... That's the one thing I hate about this automatic process. Is it going to just take a specific... Because I want to just this one spot. Delete. Right, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I did before. Delete this sucker at extension 4. Okay, and then with the allocated space, create automatically. Okay, okay. Right. Very good. True. This is kind of how I did it with the Linux Mint on the other one. Because the other one also has Windows still, but I'm using basically the Linux Mint side on my desktop. Okay, so there's your typical partitions. Home, not bad for space there. Boot, 1 GB. 38 for the slash root directory with all the binaries and stuff in there. And that's it. Okay. And then done. Okay. Extension 4, destroy. This da, 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 da. Let me just make sure it's the same device over and over. Yep. Okay, cool. P1 on 1, P11. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. 7? Okay, so it's creating internal bits there. Okay, 7, yeah. T 10, 7, 1, 1. The boot EFI. That is going back to the main. I wonder if that's going to modify the way my grub is work or my Windows boot is working, but probably not. I feel like the EFI has a different booting process now, from what it used to be. And finally, dum dum dum, you put in your password, and there. Okay. So the partitioning part was a little bit of a headache. It always has been. But yeah, you're right. And I remember seeing that before. You can just delete and leave the empty space and it'll automatically look for whatever empty space is available. You don't have to preset it to an extension 4 because it doesn't just do a single extension 4. It will take the free space and again partition a bunch of different extensions to it. So that's the one case scenario. I can and I probably should connect and download any extra packages. If I remember what the heck my Wi-Fi password is, because it's been like forever since I plugged it in. Did I remember? I remembered, I think. Connecting. We'll find out in a second. So I'm gonna connect just so I can get basically any sort of base updates that I might need. Hey, wait, nope. Wait, wait. Is it with or without? Sometimes I can't remember if I made it user friendly for my friends to get on, or if I made it super secure so no one can get on, even myself. Nope, that's not it either. Great. Wait, but I am connected technically by Ethernet. No, I'm not. This is not connected by Ethernet. Hold on. Where the hell's my freaking phone? All right, one second. I think I made it extra connected and extra secure, so no one, even myself, can get back into my own Wi-Fi. This is how we secure ourselves, guys, even from ourselves. So you can never screw up. One of my videos that I was doing in Minecraft. My little brother had a self-destruct for whatever reason had a whole self-destruct button in his little server, and I just of course just tripped over it, and I'm like, don't let me, don't let me get near any self-destruct stuff, because I'm gonna trip over accidentally and destroy it, everything. FFS. Ah, right, right. Can I do this? Oh no, it wasn't that automatic process. Dude, where the heck's my password? Oh. Anyway, I'll skip that for now, I guess. I'll connect later. We're just. Ah, no, I have to. I have to. Is it with a capital? Is it without a capital? Ah, I love this part. This part's my favorite part. Guessing all my passwords until I get in. You ever have that moment? That moment where you're just like, hey, why the hell did this not work? I swear it was this. I can also take a look over here. One second. Go into my freaking router to figure out what the hell I did with my password. Smart. Very smart. I did. I literally put that in there. What do you mean? I knew that was a password. Oh. Oh, I must have mistyped it. I must have not done a specific letter or word in a particular way, and then I went through multiple passwords to get keep pass. I love being human, you guys. The brain is always such a fantastic thing to wrestle with. All right, select network. Nope, 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 nope. We're done here. All right, I'm not gonna do that again. Done. All right. And now basically is just begin installation. That's it. Now normally, I think in Linux Mint specifically, this one didn't actually do it for me. you're gonna see how quick it's gonna install. Normally, like if you're doing it from a USB onto a hard drive, it's gonna take about 15-30 minutes. This is on an M.2 drive, so it's basically gonna deploy everything pretty quickly, probably like 5 minutes or less. Um, but in the Linux Mint or Ubuntu based systems, always remember that you might have to like if you want to really have like full access to media codecs, MP4, they're kind of like not DRM protected, but the license to them isn't. It's open to the people, but it's not open to be used in a packaged system. So you might have to check mark a little like, oh, install extra codecs. You might want to do that because essentially you need to basically install a couple of extra codecs so you can run MP4s and AVIs and a set of normal MP3s too. I mean, a set of basics that you have to set up. This one looks like it's just going for it slowly but surely. But in that process, I could also show you my current Linux operating system. So this laptop is an NVIDIA 3070 Ti. I have another laptop that I'm using kind of as my base station. It's got a 20, what is that? Device manage more, device manager. 2060? 2070? 2060, 70? Display driver. 2050. Got a 2050, 4 gigs. I use it for basic AI. But also basically for handling my OBS connections here and this little setup you see here. Yeah, the non-free stuff. Like at this point, like what's constituted to be not free? Like MP3, you can still create music in an MP3 file, can make videos in MP4 formats and distribute them. So what makes that file not free other than the potential in IP, intellectual property of the way that file is handled? DRM. There's no DRM on Linux or HDR. HDR. If we're talking about copyright stuff versus HDR. So, uh, high dynamic range. HDR, DRM. Just like me doing the LCD TVs and the uh, LED TVs. I get the acronyms confused sometimes. Linux Mint. Yeah, I'll show you my Linux Mint setup. This is going to take a bit. It's kind of boring to watch the installation. It looks like it's going to take longer than I expected. But, all right, let me set up my other device here. That's actually my PC. On that note, market's opening up 4:30 or 9:30, and then I have a student in 30 minutes. HDCP. Wayland. Oh, I'm a little bit skeptical of the Wayland. That is not the way. I feel like Wayland is going to be kind of an imposter. The way they've been trying to like F with X11. I have a video on that on how Wayland has been basically messing with the GitHub updates or the ability to allow people to modify certain things or improve on the X11 based systems. Um, I can't tell you too much. I'm not a developer in the driver space, but basically, it sounds like they're trying to kill off X11 by restricting certain actions that can be taken on the. Hold on, restricting certain actions. Just gotta modify some HDMI connections real quick that GitHub allows to update on X11. So something like, oh, we don't want you to update this patch because we don't want you to patch X11. So they made a fork, and that fork is essentially um gonna take over. Okay, so now I gotta reconnect the cable, the mouse, while I'm waiting. Un momento. Throw the mouse here. And since it's a desktop and I just have not enough space to basically work over the whole thing, the color management makes me black and white. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Does not sound right to me. Color management. Seems like it might be a driver issue. Maybe something's wrong with the complete. Depends on how what you install. Did you say no? You didn't have. Fencer has Linux Mint. What did you use? What Linux did you use, or what did you try out to get your HDR? Because you said on Linux, but Linux is such a wide variety of stuff, you know? You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And why is not nothing showing? Why is not nothing showing? Why ain't nothing showing on my screen? Alright, restart. Okay, there it is. Kind of. Here. My HD. What? What do you mean? You cannot see. They're plugged in. It's passing through. Hello? My video card's not reading this? What do you mean? Oh, maybe it's the USB. Hold on. Sometimes I gotta re-plug in the USB for it to reconnect. Because I'm changing all the HDMI connections while we're installing. There we go. Alright, so welcome to my desktop. Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon. Donate for Windows 11. What are you, Bill Gates? What are you doing here? Go manage your proprietary team of 100 people and leave the open source community alone. Get out of here. Hiboso, Hiboso. Boom. So here is my Linux Mint chilling on the Git. And I installed Steam on here too. I installed Steam on here too. How about you send me half of that now, and then I'll go ahead and download it. This is we're gonna do it business like, right? You want something? Send me half now, and then you can send me the other half once I install it. Yeah? Go to my Patreon. Go ahead and get started, my dude. Yeah, go on my Patreon, make an account, and start buying everything up, and then we can talk. Uh, okay. But yeah, no, like I actually, I'm probably gonna play some. I kind of want to play some 7 days. Not gonna lie. Not seven. Yeah, 7 days today. That's the latest thing I've been playing with. A little buggy, but not crazy. A lot of these games still work, dude. Like I imagined this 15 years ago, where I can play on a Linux machine without having to be tied to a fucking Microsoft account. I mean, not even because then you didn't have the Microsoft account. You just had a local account. Now you gotta tie everything into that Microsoft account. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Um, but you can still have it local. But I don't know if Windows 11 is gonna let you have a local account until we debloat it, remove all the telemetry and all the extra crap. But I mean, I'm running on old hardware, guys. This computer setup is from 2015. 2015. Take a look. Uh, Power statistics. No. Yet. Disk usage, yeah, GPU viewer. There we go. Yeah, man. I promise. Go ahead and throw half my way and then I'll go ahead and do it. I don't see why anyone would want to do that. That makes no sense to me. But sure. Anyway, limit dimensions. So I got the AMD freaking 5070 series, super old. Red Devil was it called? Hellhound was another one or something like that. Devil Hound, Devil Dog, something. I don't know. They had like weird names for it. And then got the core, 6 core processor with the built-in graphics. I think it has this mini GPU. No, no, it doesn't have it. Not on this one. So this game, this actually I remember back in the day when I first set it up and I didn't have a graphics card plugged in. I'm like, why can't I get a screen? Because the freaking processor doesn't have a built-in GPU just for the basics. So that was exciting. But man, I'm telling you, like now, I like my old games. I'm not over here gonna be like playing freaking Assassin's Creed Shadows because it's crap, Concord because it's crap. I mean, I haven't tried using really like Marvel Rivals. That's one of the games I've been playing recently. Mm, but I do like to go back into other games that I've played in the past. Stardew Valley, favorite of mine. My friend gave me Sniper Elite, so that's one that I wanted to try out. Rusted Warfare, one of those open source super awesome games that are basically super crazy advanced and complicated. It's actually pretty great. Yes, bro. How can I help you, bro? Anyway, installation's basically done. Let's pop back. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. Gotta just readjust my cables again. Un momento, por favores. There we go. And choop choop. Back to that. So we're done with the installation. Now I just reboot the system. Oh, my mouse is plugged into the other thing too. But of course, I need to get one of those switches that I can swap USBs between multiple computers because I run multiple computers at once. That's exciting. Reboot. So we done. That's it. So I did take maybe I'd say 15 minutes. I didn't think I thought it'd been a little faster than that, but hey, that's the case. You can rewind and check it out. The specs were on the screen. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I should probably yeah, I'm gonna unplug that sucker. So now it should be a good point to unplug the USB stick. I think I'm in the reboot process right now. Logitech 3, Logitech Master. Logitech's an old company, huh? Pretty gosh darn old. So let's see. Is it going to be the grub menu? Yeah. Continue to boot. Perform MOK. Enroll key from disk. Continue boot. Okay. Booting Bazzite 42. What I feel like it just did, it may have messed up my Microsoft boot records. That's not a good thing. I don't like that. Why does it fuck with it? Linux Mint doesn't fuck with it. That's cute. It's a Bazzite Acer Duo startup. I have to probably AMD 5, man. Go you can rewind the video and check the specs that were just on the screen. And 570 RX. Really old hardware since 2015, I believe. I did some reviews on them on techwarelabs.com. I used to do journalism for like a year or two. It was pretty cool. I went to Taiwan, the Taipei. They had a little bit of a meeting there with Asus. Did a nice little trip. I love Taiwan, dude. It's oh, dude, we went to this little like shrimp fishing space. Mm, it was delicious. Huge ass shrimp. They were like they had claws. I've never seen shrimp with claws. Have you? But their actual hands or claws just fell off because they were so flimsy. But MX Master 3, huh? MX Master 3. I think you're reading my mind on the utility there. I wish there was just a USB hub set. Ah, I see. Not just the mouse, right? I mean, I have multiple mice. Heck, I'm even using this is my actual desktop control. That desktop you saw earlier, I'm actually controlling it with this. I got a little controller basically for the computer. So why the heck not? All right, looks pretty. I might have to fix my boot record because it looks like it effed up my master boot record on the Windows side. There we go. Installing Steam automatically. So that's it. Now, we're not done, apparently, because I'm gonna have to come back later and fix the master boot record when this happens. I might have to even do it now. I think there's a way. Hi, Boso. What is your deal? What do you want? You want attention? You got my attention. What do you want? What do you actually want? What are you doing? Ask a question. How to make a PC. Well, I have a video on that and currently not going to go into the details of that. I get distracted so easy. I will make and I have made on how to build a PC in general. You can look on my other streams, other videos. That's not the current subject. I even go through the process of what are the six minimum parts you need to make a PC. Like you need a hard drive, you need RAM, you need a motherboard. Did you not look at the screen? Did you not look at the screen when it was up on the screen? Did you not look at the screen? Yeah, it's an 8-bit desktop right now. If you didn't look at the screen, rewind. I'm not gonna go back into the details. It's literally recorded. You can look back, rewind, and then pause it and then read it. Like literally the reason why we have the internet. Like if you want to ask like if you want to ask a pertinent question to installing operating systems, partitions, and actual Linux right now, I'd be happy, but you came in with the Windows 11 some BS about giving money to download Windows 11 and now you're trying to distract me with like the specs that are already on the screen. What do you actually want? You have attention of the room. I'm a teacher, my dude. You are now standing in front of the fucking room. What do you want? What is it you want? Okay, what kind of tips? Why if you want tips, tell me what you have because then I can help you with your hardware. Why are you asking about my hardware? Even though it's already up, you can take a look at it, do a little rewind, go back, put a little effort, you know what I mean? Like, I know AI has got y'all like cooked, but you can do a rewind button, right? All right, let me see what we have so far. So I haven't played too much with Bazzite. I don't see. I don't. Oh, look at that. Okay, okay. Oh, you're okay. It's splitting my screen again. It's splitting my screen into two places. All right, great. Let me do display configuration. Let me adjust this to duplicate real quick because I'm not happy about the constant split. It's nice. I like to have dual, but it's kind of using the wrong primary system. Color adaptive primary apply. I can do that. Okay, now we're in primary mode here, right? Okay. So it looked like the bar was existing in one spot, not the other. All right, so let me check the hardware now. Uh, let's see. I forget what the actual. I don't think I have a complete. Device manager. Let me see. Because all of this is connected through the kernel, and this particular ISO is configured to use the NVIDIA-based system. So basically, Windows actually changing, and it might pop up for how do I donate money? I don't accept donations until i5 NVIDIA 5090. You're fine. 5090. I mean, I would say you probably paid money for nothing because the 3080 Ti is actually about the same par. The 5090 is, there's no donations, my dude. I don't take donations. Again, go to my Patreon, sign up for some stuff. Superscholar.xyz. You see it literally on the screen. It's popping around all the time. And if you're serious about anything you're talking about, go for it. Go to my Patreon. But I don't take donations. Anyway, um, I basically like I don't take free money unless I'm hosting something for like I don't know a donation somewhere else. I would rather put effort into making that money than either trading, because trading is a case scenario where I actually make a good amount of money, but also teaching. I teach. So if you want me to teach you something, I have a whole website for it on Patreon. I can be your educator. I can teach you how to program. I can teach you how to do mathematics up to calculus, statistics, and logic and organization and differential mathematics. I can teach you how to program basically anything from a server that you can host your own website to an Android application. To a basic web app that uses Node.js, to a Python script that can manage and parse data files, or if you want to learn how to do Roblox, like like I teach. So if you want something from me, go to Patreon, work it through there. I'm not gonna accept donations, but I do appreciate support. So if you want to sign up for free too, support me on Patreon. If you look up Super Scholar Chris MIA, you can support me on Patreon. You don't even have to sign up for any hour classes, but I do help with any education. So you can literally do just, hey, I want to send this guy a picture, and then he's gonna send me a response. I can do that. That's $7 a month. Or if you want an hour one-to-one remote interaction, that's I think 20 or $25 a month, and then it goes from there. But just if it's something you want, I'm not gonna advertise. I just don't take exceptions. Exceptions. I don't take donations. Meow, meow. Hold on, let me get my cat. Shadow, where you at, bub? Hey, there he is. There he is. There he is. Give me cutter. Give me cutter. Here's a meow. Here's my meow. I did meow, right? Did I? Did I impress? All right, cool. You get a meow. Um. Anyway. Oh wait, I know what I can do. I don't need any crazy extra details. Come here, my little kitty. I can go into my terminal. Welcome to Lutris. View game library. Interesting. I thought Steam was the used here. Maybe it's like an internal. So we got Steam working. All right. I didn't really sign in yet, but I'm not gonna. Okay, bye. It's been hot as heck. Poor cat doesn't want to lay on me because we just get hot together. There's my hardware. You see it? Oh, wow. Super pretty. Generic multimedia, PCI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, NVMe display. There's my display. So a GeForce RTX 37 mobile. His face. Also, yeah, I should have, didn't I? He's gone now. Oh, he went to get some food. All right, I'm gonna go check his food. Make sure that he has plenty. I treat my cat more than I treat myself. I give them all kinds of variety of foods. So here's a couple of things if you haven't used Windows, Linux before. You have a basically app installer. Think of it like your Windows Store. I do have to go soon though, so sheesh. I have a student that I have to work with in a moment. I gotta do some mathematics, basic math, nothing crazy. It's just a middle schooler. No, actually today is the elementary kid. That's my bad. They're brother and sister. You can install from a nice little shop. Very cool. GPU screen recorder. Nice. Session desktop, private messenger. Cool. There were some emulators on here too. I'm not gonna boast them, but hey, look at that. GameCube, N64, SNES. Wine is the one that actually basically tries to like give you a set of DLLs on this Linux system. And when a game that's built on Windows is trying to run, but is running on Linux, it may not have the same library API that would normally have on Windows. So this kind of makes that it's not an emulation. It's not like a virtual machine or anything. It's just an attachment that gives these EXEs the ability to access Windows-based tools that exist on Windows. So look at that sucker. Look at this. Look at this. Look at all these emulators, my dudes. Look at this sucker. Jesus Christ, how many are there? DOSBox? I know that one. DuckState. What the heck? Yeah, wine. Wine. Wine is basically it. Wine is not an emulator. That's what it stands for. 3050 is great. I actually on the 8 GB, I can run a 7B AI model. I don't have one here on this, and actually I have to basically reset. Guys, like and subscribe. I will be back later. I have to go do a teach a student session with mathematics. Appreciate you here. A lot of you out there asking, talking, having fun. Patreon name, patreon.com/ Super Scholar Chris MIA. Just look at my channel name and you will know. Anyway, thanks for coming in. I will be back in the future. Like, subscribe, notifications. We go through a lot of techie stuff in here, so feel free to talk, chat, give me some deets, share some information. And if anyone knows a hub, like a nice USB hub that I can plug everything in, and then I can just switch between multiple computers, that'd be great. Like the hub has multiple plugins, and then I can just kind of press computer one, and then my mouse works and keyboard and everything, and then I can press computer two. If you know anything about this, please let me know. Anyway,